Time keeps on leaving and we keep on moving. When do we pass on our wisdom to the youth? My veteran story, lost arts discussions, fireside chats with a bourbon or two. It's time to hear the stories by our military veterans. Get yourself ready. It's the Lost Arts Podcast. The Lost Arts with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast. That podcast is giving a voice to our veterans. On today's episode, we're having our weekly fireside chat with the crew. So I know you're going to enjoy today's podcast. We always have a good time. Hopefully you're having a drink and maybe smoking a cigar and enjoying our time together. But if you're enjoying these episodes, you can always become a TLA patron. That's a Lost Arts patron. It's through donations that we are able to continue recording these podcasts and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. If becoming a TLA patron doesn't work for you and you would rather give a one-time donation, then go to the Lost Art website and scroll down until you see the donations link. Any donation is appreciated. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, then email me directly at thelostartwithandrewcox@gmail.com. And as always, we do have merchandise for sale. So go to the website, click that merchandise tab, and you can help support by showing off a t-shirt, a hat, or anything else, a coffee mug, whatever you got. But there is merchandise for sale. I have the crew here, so we'll go round robin. I'll start with Mark. How you doing? Uh-oh, you gotta unmute it.
There we go. How's that?
That's good.
So having a great Monday, had a great Easter weekend. God is great, and He is risen. So once again, we're taken care of, and should be a great week.
Absolutely. Yeah, He is risen indeed. Isn't that what the response is supposed to be? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Aaron, how are you doing?
Doing good. Echo Mark there. I couldn't be more blessed. Grandchildren, children, all healthy. Family's doing good. So, absolutely, he has risen indeed.
Nice. And Vic, how about you? How you doing?
Life's good. I'm sitting on my porch, smoking a cigar, having an old fashioned. We went to Disney World this past weekend. Had a great time with the wife. Had a couple dates with the missus while the kid went off and played her own little thing. It was a good time. Had a good bonding time with the wife, and he is arisen. Yes.
Very nice. I like it. Krista, how about you?
You're in the South, Vic. It's a poach.
It is both.
Very nice. Krista, how are you doing?
I'm great. Yes, he's risen indeed. That's what we say. I got to spend a little time with my granddaughter, who's 6 years old, and told me her life story. She said best day ever because she ate a lot of sugar and
I like
so chocolate.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to share.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I think every day
for
her is best day ever. Yeah. And so yeah.
Very good.
That's a lot of pollen off a lot of things this weekend. So yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Mike, how about you? How you doing?
Had a good Monday. Was good. And Crystal speaking pollen all I've been all day blood nose and sneezing, and I mean this South sucks. I need to get out of it.
You just got the pollen everywhere, sneezing everything up, huh?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Good times. I like it. So I guess we can go ahead and get into some conversations. I don't know if you guys saw that. I'm sure you did. It was big news, but the Baltimore, the bridge that collapsed. Did you guys look at any of that? I know the underground is talking heavily about conspiracy theories and stuff like that about it, but we had in Oklahoma I don't know if Aaron and Vic remembers this, but the bridge that went over the Arkansas River, one of the barges hit that, and it's the same type of thing. Hit that, and then the bridge collapsed. It was on the interstate, so you had cars, just driving off because they couldn't see it. It was coming up, and man, they went right off into the river. It was a big deal. And anybody else see that?
Yeah. Seen it, understand, accidents happen and all that. I think I'm more concerned that ship was moving in and out of the port. I say he was moving out of the port there, out of the bay there, basically unescorted from my understanding. So that's a little more frustrating than this accident, or even some of the conspiracies that you may have heard out there. It's just, we've got to do a better job of escorting ships in and out of our ports, if you ask me.
Yeah. I don't know. And the ship, there was a video of it. I guess it lost power like twice, something like that before.
Yeah, you could see the power going on off the ship a couple of times. They're supposed to have several different backup sources, so on and so forth. But irregardless, I think they reacted pretty well about shutting the bridges down and getting as much traffic off the bridges as they could. Obviously, there were some workers still on the bridge and all that, to kind of mitigate, the risk of life. But, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
Did you say irregardlessly?
He's from Arkansas. That's exactly what
I may have.
So I play cribbage every week with a retired merchant marine. He did 22 years in the merchant. He did 4 years in the Navy and then went merchant marine. And he drove some big boats as a merchant mariner. But I asked him about the situation, and I said, aren't there like backup systems and, all this backup to the backup systems to stop things like that? He goes, yeah, when you fly a flag from a country that doesn't care about safety, then that's what happens. A lot of these companies, they home port their ships in these countries that do not require backup systems or other escorts or things like that, But he goes, that's why the American Merchant Marines are like the smallest merchant marine organization, because they're more expensive, because they have more safety requirements and more redundancies. But that's what, apparently, according to him, that's what happens when you don't have redundancies, by home porting your ships in countries where it's cheaper.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah, that kind of goes back to the all the stuff being made overseas and all that type of stuff instead of American made, and kind of the same type of deal. That's pretty wild.
What really stinks about this whole situation, though, in my opinion, though, is that the ships still are required, regardlessly of where your insurance is at. They're still required to carry insurance, so the insurance is going to pay for the bridge. But the president has already said that the American people are going to, the tax dollars, we're going to use government money to pay for that bridge, even though insurance is going to pay for it. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Wow. Well, that's great to hear. Our tax dollars. That's great. Even though insurance can cover it. Oh, well. I guess that's life, right? Paying taxes and letting them do whatever. Did you guys, I know we discussed, this was a while back when the airman went in front of the White House and set himself on fire. You guys remember that whole incident that took place? Well, there's another airman who is in front of the White House, and I guess he just started like 2 days ago, but he's on a hunger strike there at the White House, basically saying that he's going to continue a hunger strike until, what was it? Oh, I got to find it. Sorry. Oh, until the end of unconditional aid to Israel is what he said, or part of what he said anyways.
Throw him in the brig. Throw him in the brig.
Yeah, he is active duty.
Yeah, throw him in the brig. Yeah. I mean, he's an airman. He won't last long. Marines are trained to starve themselves, but
It's true.
So let Air Force chow hall, man. He's got working against him.
Hey, those Air Force chow halls, they're no joke, man. Those things are good.
So is this guy like hunger striking in uniform?
No, the picture I saw, he wasn't. I don't think he is. So at least there's that. But he on his sign it says active duty airman is protesting the whatever hunger strike, whatever he called it. So
yeah, but
yeah,
every bum in San Diego peddling for money has the same thing on their signs.
That's possibly true. Oh man, yeah, I saw that, and I just remembered we talked about the guy that lit himself on fire previously, and I just thought it was interesting that it was another airman that was actually doing it.
I see a
Chris,
trend.
do you have something? Yeah. Go ahead, Krista. You got something?
That chain of command needs
Mark.
to get involved and get the UCMJ rolling. He doesn't have that right to go on a hunger strike like that and hurt his body, especially to active duty and then have this type of protest on his own. That's when he joined, he gave up that right for that time that he's active duty to do that crap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the Marine Corps is big on it. Like when all the strikes and stuff were, or not strikes, when all the protests were happening up at the Capitol and stuff like that, that was a huge thing in the Marine Corps. They were like, if you go anywhere, whether it's to support any event, they're not saying you can't go, but they's like, hey, if something bad happens and you're there, you're in trouble. So if you see anything, you better get the heck out of Dodge. And that was kind of their stance on it for a long time. So I don't know what still is, I'm sure.
And that's the thing, guys. We defend the Constitution that no longer defends us. We fall under different articles. We fall under the articles of UCMJ. And that's what people have to understand is that we don't have that platform. In fact, we're forbidden to use that platform. And that's the whole thing. And now I'll go off in that right field about Colin Kaepernick, is that he gets to use his job as a platform to speak. We were actually forbidden, being in military, we're forbidden to use our job as a platform to speak. So people need to understand that. And I'm not saying that I'm not, condoning or condemning his stance. I'm just saying that we provided him that freedom to use his job as a platform. So he should be thankful that, we provide that freedom for him to do that. And we're forbidden to use our job as that platform to take a stand. So, yeah, we defend the Constitution that no longer defends us. We fall under a different set of rules. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the reasons that I don't want to interview active duty personnel to give their veteran story, because I'm like, man, they're going to accidentally say something the wrong way or whatever, and then boom, everything blows up, and yeah, it would be a bad day. So I've only been doing veterans or whatever for my veteran story. I've had a couple of active duty guys come on for, like, one guy wrote a book. I actually wrote 2 books. I had him on, but there's been a couple of times, but we always kept it separated, I guess, from the actual Marine Corps aspect of it, or the military aspect. But yeah. Anybody else got anything else on that? I know it. Y'all are all itching. I see it. No.
If he's actually allowed to see it through its end, fine. Remove one more trash from the gene pool.
Very well. Very well. I just looked this up. Apparently, 1-4, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines, their battalion commander was relieved recently. I don't know if you guys saw that, but relieved for cause. I don't know what happened. I hadn't heard anything, seen anything, but that's the same battalion that lost Marines in the was it the Amtrak's that went down off the coast of California? I think it's the same unit or the same battalion, if I'm not mistaken. Mark, you were out in California. Have you seen much of that?
I don't know for sure if it was 1-4 or not. It might, it very well could be. I just can't confirm it. But I didn't hear about the 1-4 battalion commander. I did hear about the School of Infantry commander, that colonel. He was relieved just last week or so.
Oh, maybe that's who it is. Maybe I got bum scoop.
Yeah. So I know there was the SOI commander, the colonel, and he had just relieved about a year ago. He had just relieved his sergeant major for some type of
wow.
some type of reason. Yeah, for about a year in between these reliefs. I think there was 2 commanders at the School of Infantry that were relieved, but
At the same same time.
right within the same week or so of each other.
Ooh. Wow, I didn't know that. That's incredible. You know, this is something that is interesting to me is how easy it is to get yourself in trouble. You know, I'm not always the nicest speaking individual, and I probably don't always say the best word choices from time to time, and that has bit me in the ass several times. I know Mike is shaking his head at me like I'm crazy, but yeah, and I signed a NIPLOC before I retired, which was super fun. So yeah, it was a very interesting time. But yeah, I can see how somebody could get themselves in trouble very quickly nowadays. You know, it's not like back in the olden days when you know, I say the olden days, I'm talking about you, Mark, but you know, back then, you know, you take it out to the woods or behind the shed or whatever, and you'd solve problems. You know, that is for sure gone.
Gone.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's gone.
Well, I would add to that some of the atmosphere and social, I don't know what you would call it, but social society that some of our elected leaders have brought into the military nowadays have made it a little bit, you know. Sergeant Major back in the day would have, you know, ripped me a new one, and I would have just, hey, aye, Sergeant Major, and carried on. Nowadays, it's like, what the hell did I do? I didn't do nothing wrong. Let me file a complaint, you know, and everybody's filing a complaint about every little thing now. So, you know, when they get in, like, I won't speak specifically to your incident, but somebody files a complaint because they're screwed up and they blame it on something else. Now they have to come to you to say, hey, maybe you shouldn't talk to them that way, this, that, and the other. And it's like, all I told him to do is do his freaking job and do it right. I may have not have said those exact words, but you know,
a couple of choice words in between, I'm sure.
Right. But our elective leaders have allowed this to fester and grow within the military, and it's disheartening.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I just wonder how, you know, I guess everything's cyclic, right? So, and I don't remember the saying, and maybe somebody else can help me with it, but what is it, like weak or strong society breeds a, go ahead, Aaron, I know you got it.
Oh man. It has to do with, I don't know it all, but you know, hard times breeds tough men breeds, you know, softer times, and softer times breeds weak men, or something like that. Yeah. Something along the lines of that. But it's cyclic. I mean, you think about it, you know, throughout history.
Yeah, very true. I think we're on the, in my opinion, at least, we're hitting the softer side right now. So we're definitely going to need something to bring us back around. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn or something. I don't know. I know Vic's got his opinions about it. He's trying to be quiet though. He won't hit the mute button. All right, we can move on. I don't want to.
First of all, this is your podcast, so you're not speaking out of turn. Second of all,
you know,
I'll keep my comments family friendly, and just say that hopefully the pendulum is going to start swinging the other way soon.
I think it will. Yeah, it'll happen, no doubt. Did you guys see there was the last survivor of USS Arizona died at 102 recently. 102. I think, okay, what was happening 100 years ago? Think back to when that guy was born. Man, that's insane to me. But I know Mike might be able to tell us what happened back then. He's not answering it. Go ahead, Mark.
Not that old.
He was 102, so you're talking 1922. That was World War I had just been over a few years. The Marine Corps would have been involved in the Banana Wars, down in Central and South America, or Central America. It was before the Great Depression, so as far as things were pretty good as far as America concerned. Families were still strong, and only took one income per household.
The Roaring 20s, right?
Yeah, the Roaring 20s, where once again after the World War I, came back and they started rebuilding up again, and things were probably, like I said, the Roaring 20s, things were probably pretty good as far as life was concerned. People having the big families, and those are the times that once again, the kids being born then, they're the ones that were going to fight World War II.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. That's one thing that has definitely changed over time is, you mentioned it, the families and the size of the families. It used to be, it wouldn't be surprising to have 10 kids or anything like that. And they'd be able to support that on one income, which is amazing. And now we look at things, we can barely support just ourselves. Just a man and a woman married have a hard enough time just supporting themselves with two incomes. That's how much further we've gone. It's pretty wild. Anybody else? No.
Well, I mean, after both the world wars, when GIs were coming back, the U.S. was giving them land. So they were going out and, they were having 10 kids to help farm and, help raise their whatever, their guineas or the chickens and the goats and all that kind of stuff. And you can sustain yourself by growing crops and farming, and you're growing half or more of your food, making half or more of your food. You're growing your own cows and slaughtering pigs and all that kind of stuff. And people don't do that. Urbanization, took hold in the after World War II, going into the 50s and 60s. And then now we have 50% of the population lives within 100 miles of the coast. So think about that. I mean, that's so now you don't have now you have couples that are actively trying not to have kids, don't want to have any kids at all, which now we have finally tipped where we are declining in population because every family needs to have at least two kids to replace themselves. And we have families that are only have one kids or no kids. So now, I guess population is starting to decline in the U.S. That's a whole nother conversation. But like that's different times now, or way different times now because of that.
Wow, I didn't know that it was going on the downside of it. I don't know if that's good or bad, but holy cow.
Well, it was about 3 years ago, something like that. The SEAC and the Sergeant Major Black came around to Parris Island. They were on a road show, and they were talking about China. Basically, they are as far as population decrease, they're about 20 years ahead of us. So their population is declining rapidly, way more rapidly than we are. Because they had the one kid rule for the longest time, which they weren't even, they're not even growing their population. They're just trying to keep the status quo because their population exploded so rapidly. So now they're 20 years ahead of us as far as population decline goes. So in the next 20 years or so is when China is going to be in the perfect window to do something, if they're going to do anything, because their workforce is aging. and they're the fighting age of their fighting force is aging. So like if they're going to do anything, they're going to have to do it soon, kind of thing. But yeah, it's I actually on my school board, my last school board conference, state conference that I went to, there was a guy that gave us a whole brief on demographics about, and of course the spin was how it's affecting education. But I mean, it's when you're talking about United States demographics compared to everyone else, I highly recommend a book called "The End of the World Is Just the Beginning" by Peter Zahn, and he talks about all of it, about all that population decline around all like globally, and how the U.S. is best set to weather the storm because it's coming. And the only reason the U.S. is going to weather the storm is because of the Mississippi. Also, another story. So,
you're talking the Mississippi River, not Mississippi.
Correct.
Specific.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that's not going to help us, but like,
I mean,
No, that might help. That might help us.
I mean, if it starts flowing backwards, we're in trouble.
Yeah, but because I mean, globalization is going to come to a screeching halt, and the only way that we're going to be able to get goods into the interior countries through the Mississippi River.
Now, I've watched sci-fi movies, so I know that we can go to Mars and beyond. I've watched one the other day. There was a planet way, way off, and it was just like Earth. So there's something out there for us, I think. All right,
we do have a space force now, so
that is true. See, man, I missed my calling. I was a couple of years too early. I should have joined the space force.
I think we have a Marforce Space now, right? Don't we? Marine Forces Space Command. I think I heard it called.
Is it Marforce Space?
You have to have Marines because they're the only ones that can plant the flag on another planet.
That's a good point,
right?
It's a good point. Yeah. I always thought about it like killing the bugs. That's what movie is that?
Starship Troopers, yes.
Yeah.
Starship Troopers, yeah.
Well, that and the getting to shower with opposite sex, which is coming. If you look at boot camp and stuff like that.
Well, you said killing the bugs. I thought you were going towards squashing the bug. And you starting to have flashbacks there.
Yeah, but only Marines. Boot camp squash the bug. I like it.
Yeah.
Krista, you unmuted, but you didn't say anything. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, well, of course, India's population is going to be the largest, and of course, with their language and things like that. But no, I was just thinking about like my grandparents. My father was born in 1939, but my grandmother was a school teacher that graduated from the University of Alabama, and that was back like in the 20s. But we were just talking about the whole rural thing with farming, but they had hog killing day. And my grandmother on my mother's side and my mother and my uncle Claridge, Fay, and Ludi, yes, those names are really sad, but they were sharecroppers, in Samantha, Alabama. So we're talking about the whole cotton thing, the rural versus when people quit having children and started moving out. I know, Mark, we're considered actually baby boomers. Those of us who were born in 1964, you would not think that someone my age is considered a baby boomer. But when we, the ones of us that started deciding not to have, more than 2 children and limiting how much, and then people my age who decided not to have children at all and things like that. But both sets of my grandparents were those of 13 children. They had 13 siblings. Both of my grandparents are those of 13. So.
Wow, you said 13?
My grandfather was one of 13, and my grandmother was one of 14. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
so,
I thought I had a big.
Right, and they're from.
I got. Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I got 8 brothers and sisters. Well, total 8 brothers and sisters, so 8 kids, which I thought was big, but 13 and 14. Whoo!
That's grandparents.
I'm number 5 of 9.
You had 9.
No, I'm number 5 of 9. No.
5 of 9. Wow.
Yep.
My husband has 7 sisters, and then he had one brother who died. So yeah. So yeah, it just depends on. But they're from the mountains of Virginia. They were hill people, and we were goat farmers, and dairy farmers. So it just depends on where you come from. I guess it depends. When people started moving to the cities, or it just depends.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I know Vic knows all about his father-in-law. He was a farmer, and then owns a bunch of land and did the sharecropping thing for a while too, or
Still
sharecropped
doing
his
it.
land.
Still
Yeah,
doing it.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where's he at?
They 180 acres up in Iowa.
Iowa.
Yep. He owns the land and buys half the seed, and then my wife's cousin buys the other half of the seed and owns all the equipment.
Yep, I'm
and
from Iowa.
Yeah.
Is it corn or cotton?
They alternate between corn and soy.
Okay.
Yep.
What part
up in
of
West Union,
Iowa, Mark?
The northeast part near Waterloo, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City.
Yeah, my in-laws live in West Union, Iowa.
I know where West Union is. Yep.
Yep.
I'm from Independence, is the town I'm from.
Yeah, I know where it's at.
Yep, right south of West Union.
I met my wife in Cedar Rapids
Oh, okay.
on a band trip of all things.
Go figure. Meet your wife on a bed. Me and Mike were just talking about this the other day. How many Marines meet their spouses on a band trip? So
Yeah, we went there for Cedar Rapids Freedom Fest. It was a 9-day trip. Ended on the 4th of July. We played a 4th of July concert and left the next day. But met her on the first night, hung out with her every night after that, phone calls every night after that, and flew her out for the birthday ball and had her come move in with me over Christmas leave. And then, yeah, and here we are 20 years later.
Oh, you were the Sergeant Major's nightmare. No, I'm just kidding. I did not meet my wife on a band trip.
Was the 2 Marines that ran from the cops on that trip.
Oh God.
I did not meet my wife
yeah,
on a band trip, but we probably were listening to a band at a party. So yeah.
Yeah.
There's that. Music has its ways, right?
It moves us sometimes in the wrong direction. Sometimes running around a hotel in your underwear, from what I hear.
Yeah.
That happened. I won't say who did that, but
I won't say who got it on camera either.
Yeah. Mike's awful quiet. Mike, you got to chime in here. I know you're over there smiling. Nobody can see him but me. Well, I guess all you guys can see him, but everybody, the listeners can't see you. You're over there smiling about stuff, but you're not saying anything.
Well, I was chuckling about Vic, what he was saying, because what you and I had talked about over the weekend as far as 29 Palms. And it was only, it's the sexy instruments like drummers and stuff like that. And then he had a success meeting, their wives or something on a band trip. But I swear 29 Palms, we did like the Oregon State Fair. Every one of those percussionists all met somebody and they all married them. They were, it was just unbelievable. I'm like, hey, well, I'm a clarinet player. And they're like, so what does it mean to me, Okay.
Drummers rock. Drummers are,
Yeah, clarinet players just wear black socks and their tennis shoes. That's it. That's the best I
got. I see how you are. Any way I can turn Vic off on my screen?
Yeah, hold on. I'll just kick him off. That's good stuff. Now, I know Mark's been on some good trips over his career. Anything good?
Well, I remember one time we went to we took a ship, smaller ship, up from from San Diego up to the Portland Rose Festival. So we had taken LST, took an LST all the way up the Columbia River up to Portland, and this was back in 90, no 91. It was I'm sorry, 90. It was before Desert Storm, but it was June of 90, right before Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. But the ship actually was an LST. The ship actually was mooring, hit the bridge there in Portland.
Are you serious?
No damage or nothing like that, man. And he didn't get relieved either. So it was
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty amazing. But no, that was a great trip. It's kind of like going up for
It's like Fleet Week.
Fleet Weeks and stuff like that. But this was for the Portland Rose Festival. That was a really good one. Really
Wow.
good trip.
Yeah, I like it.
Because then it's kind of like because we got up there, then they're giving tours of the ship and everything like that. So all the single guys, hooking up with the young ladies that give them head of line privileges to get onto the ship. Same thing when we're playing overseas, and they had ship tours, and the local population, especially going into say like Australia somewhere. Yep, the sailors and Marines, they go walk the line, see if they meet some young lady, and then they're able to go up through the one of the other hatches and give them their old private tour of the ship.
Yeah. I like it. I've heard Australia is very nice. I never got the opportunity to go to Australia though.
Very beautiful, very beautiful country, friendly people, things like that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I know Blue, Master Sergeant Schweitzer Blue, he retired and went to Australia. I don't know where he's at in Australia though. But
You remember Carlson from 29 Palms? The tuba player,
the
Carlson?
name sounds tuba?
Yeah, he was a tuba player that had a bad back and never played tuba because he had a bad back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it sounds right.
Yeah, but he finally got like medically separated because he couldn't do his job. But his wife was from Australia, and he went back to Australia after he separated.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's one place I want to visit for sure, Australia.
Hayes, Chief Warrant Officer Hayes met his wife in Australia on one of those trips, and they got married and subsequently divorced several years ago, maybe.
Interesting. Huh.
I've been to the Portland Rose Festival, by the way. I got to play at that festival. It was fun.
Which one? The one at
Portland Rose Festival that Mark was talking about. This was probably 2000. I think I was a staff sergeant, so we're like 2006 to 2009, somewhere in that range. Went up for it. It was a really fun trip.
Yeah, that's a couple years after Mark, I think. My math is correct. Mike, what were you saying?
I was just going to add on to what you were saying about Blue. He's in Perth, Australia.
Perth.
But I think he works for the embassy there as like their IT, head of their IT or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
No
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he lucked out on that one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But Janet, his wife, when they got married, because he met her that way, the band was there and they got married. But he told her, when I retire, since you did all this for me, we'll move to Australia. And that's what they did. He was true to his word on that. So,
yeah. I'll never forget Blue was the drum major instructor when I was at the schoolhouse. And he would always come up to me because I was pretty decent at spinning the mace, but he'd always come up and he'd be like, hey, check this out. And show me some wild thing where you throw the mace or something like that. It was always really cool stuff. And, but he would tell everybody in the class, don't you ever throw the mace. Don't do anything. If you drop the mace, it's your ass and da-da-da. I was like, okay, yeah. And then like right before I'd step off, he'd be like, hey, check this out. Do this. And then he'd show me something. And it would be like behind the back and then toss the mace and catch it. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. So I was marching the band back and I did it behind the back, tossed the mace up, and it did not land anywhere close to me. It just went way out in front of me. And I was like, oh no, clank, 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 clank. And I picked it up and I cut the band. And I was like, well, if I don't do this again right now, then I'll never do it again, in the future. So I've got to get, I got to get my confidence back. So I did it, threw the mace up, caught it, did the whole thing. It was great. So we get back to where the school was, and he dismisses all the basic students and he calls us over. And man, he ripped into my ass. He went up one side, down the other. And I mean, for like a good 5 minutes, just chewing me out. And then right at the very end, he goes, but it was really cool. And then he turned around and walked off. And I'm like, so am I in trouble? What just happened? Yeah, that was Blue for you. Always getting me in trouble.
Yeah, Blue was always good for that. You always knew he was around. He's like, yeah, buddy. He'd be, yeah, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a big old kid, but man, he could chew your tail. But then he would turn around. He's like, man, you got to hear. Did you hear about this? Did you see that? And it's like, Blue, what?
He was talking about.
Oh yeah. He was behind the scenes. He would sit there and put things into play just to see how they would work out, especially against Master Gunny Schweitzer. They were like bittersweet rivals. They had a love-hate relationship because they needed each other, but they didn't. Neither one of them liked each other at that point. So
that's true.
How about a Simon Parrott? Did you ever know Simon Parrott? He was a
Parrott? Yeah, drummer Simon Parrott. He was a drill instructor. Was he there?
Yeah, he was. We were in India Company together back in 2000.
Get out of here! Are you serious?
Yep.
Simon Parrott. I'll have to hit him up after this.
I'm on Facebook with him.
Yeah. I wonder if he's even listening to these podcasts. Well, you got stories on Simon Parrott, so go ahead and let one fly.
No real good stories besides, he's a good drill instructor. That's about the only story I got on him.
So this is my story about Simon Parrott. So he came. I think he was at OCS or something like that. Doing a OCS tour since he was a hat. And he comes back from OCS to Miramar to be a drummer, right? And at the time, our Master Guns at the time, or was he Master? Yeah, he was Master Guns. Our Master Guns at the time, like when the Master Guns showed up to the band was in shambles. So he's like, all right, everybody, you were doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this. All staff and COs are going to be in formation with all the rest of the Marines. So we had a platoon of Marines, and then staff and COs had to attend every formation and with their own little formation off to the side. And yeah, it was bad. So like every band member is supposed to required to memorize music, right? So when the Master Gun showed up, the sergeants didn't have their music memorized, and they're supposed to be setting the example. So he put the whole band on lockdown. If you weren't a sergeant, you were getting private lessons from a staff and CO. I'm talking, he put the band on lockdown. So I show up from where did I come from? I was
Quantico.
I came from Quantico. That's right. And I show up and I'm like, staff and COs in formation. What? And one of the gunnies is like, you're gonna do what you're told, Staff Sergeant. I'm like, all right, staff and COs in formation. Here we go. So Simon Parrott shows up like a month later. And I said, hey, we got to go to formation, man. He goes, what? No. So he walks right into Master Guns off. He goes, I'm not going to formation. Left. That afternoon, Master Guns comes out to formation. He goes, staff and COs don't have any formation anymore. What? Son of a bitch. What the hell? That's I got a few other Simon Parrott stories, but that was the best one.
I like it. Awesome. Well, I do have one other topic that I looked up today, which I found very interesting, only because just recently I was in Fort Story, and apparently someone ran the gate, but they could not find this individual for it was a couple of hours. So the whole base was shut down for several hours. Yeah. They found the car, but they couldn't find the individual apparently. So, but in 29 Palms, a Chinese nationalist apparently ran the gate. And that happened this past week. I don't know if it was a couple of days ago or what, but it happened this past week, which I thought was ironic. But they found the guy like literally right away. They'd have to look for him. They just ran him down. And, I guess that's the difference between a Marine base and a Navy base. But yeah, it took forever for them to find him here, which I found absolutely insane. And they just installed those gate lever things that pop up. You know what I'm talking about? They just installed them, and apparently they didn't know how to hit the button right.
So,
they didn't
so here at MacDill Air Force Base, they use those. They've used them before, and they worked very well. Because literally, as soon as a person tried to come through the gate, they literally hit the button, and it was like boom, they hit it. It's been a few years, but there's reasons for that. You've got SOCOM here, you got CENTCOM here, you got these major combatant commands that, somebody gets loose on this base, it's yeah.
It could be bad.
But yeah, it was interesting trying to leave the gate and they had it shut down and the car was smashed right into that thing.
It's good stuff. I always find it amusing when I drive on the Navy bases. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was a thing on Facebook and it talked about the different services and how they did their gates. And it was like Marines were just like, yeah, whatever, go. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Go. Which is true. I think every time I went on Pendleton, I don't even think they looked at my ID. I think they were just like, yeah, whatever, just go. I don't want to deal with it. But you go on the Navy base and they always have a stop sign out in front. And if you go beyond that stop sign, you stand by because they're going to scream at you. And then they're going to hold you there for like 5 minutes talking to you about how there's a stop sign and you can't run the stop sign. And I'm like, come on, dude. Like, seriously. But yeah, it was a good time. It's a really good time. But I will tell you, you got to make friends with the gate guards because it comes in handy when you forget your ID. And I forgot my ID. They're like, yeah, all right, whatever. Go ahead. So you got to make friends. Got to be nice. Bring them coffee, maybe donuts every now and again. Yeah. Got to do it. Krista, go ahead.
And when they're training, they've got their little purple rubber guns,
Yeah.
over here at the Naval Hospital. And it's like, yeah, that's really going to help. And there's 3 of them out there with the big plastic purple rubber guns. And I'm like,
it's
I'm not
scaring
sure.
people away.
Yeah, it scares me. What are you going to do? It might hurt me if they hit me with it. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure about the Naval Hospital Beaufort anymore. Yeah.
I've never been. I don't know anything about that hospital.
It's highly overrated. My son was born there. Yeah, back in 1997, I think.
Wow.
It's really sad because he was born here. He graduated high school here. He went to boot camp here. He really doesn't like Beaufort. He really doesn't ever want to come back.
Is he still active duty?
No, he got out. He only did 5 years in Intel, and then he didn't get to do Intel like he liked, and he got stuck at Camp Lejeune for 5 years, and then he got out. It wasn't.
I don't know why everybody says Camp Lejeune is so bad.
Because it is.
It's the cesspool of the Marine Corps.
I literally went fishing almost every day. At lunch, I'd take my boat out and go in the bay. I'd go fishing. I'd come back. That was my lunch break. I won't say every day, but it was a lot.
I like to fish, to eat catfish, but he doesn't fish. He's 27 years old, so you got to understand that.
Well, I think the last storms took out all the piers around there, so
they took out what?
A lot of the piers around there.
Really?
Like tore the piers, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the buildings got destroyed and all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't been down there in a while.
When I first got to Lejeune,
go down to Cherry Point tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you guys know Staff Sergeant Pratt, retired. Anybody? He was a bandsman, trumpet player. His daughter was a trumpet player who came through the schoolhouse, who I always gave a hard time. But she called me and she was like, hey, I'm getting promoted to corporal. Would you come down and pin me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I ain't got nothing else to do. I'm retired. Sure, I can come down. So I'm going down there tomorrow. So I'll check out and make sure that the piers are still there. Just for you.
Don't forget your fishing poles.
Yeah, don't forget. Yeah, I was going to say that, Vic. Don't forget your fishing poles.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think they're packed up somewhere. I go pick up the RV on Thursday, so that's a positive.
Well, you're going to have to get those fishing poles out if you're going to travel because you're going to hit some water.
Well, that is true. I am going to hit some water, whether I want to or not.
Hey, don't lose the
Hopefully
art.
not with the RV.
Oh yeah, well, it is a motorhome, and I've not really driven a lot of motorhomes, so we'll see how the first day goes. So next week when we get together, I'll let you know if it went well or not. So I was never one of those bus drivers. So, anyways,
Did you guys do your homework?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't do it.
I did.
So you watched Roadhouse?
I tried to make my wife watch it. She got bored, I guess.
Was it any good? That's the question.
I will say yes. I thought it was very good, except for Conor McGregor's acting. It
was really bad, but it was funny.
His acting is really bad. If I had enough space, he just walked around like this all the time.
Drop your leg.
That's a really good impression.
Yeah.
Do it again. Go ahead. You got to say something.
Oh, I gotta get myself on camera. Here we go. Here.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's all he did. Just walk around like that. No, definitely not going to be a Conor McGregor.
You know, has anybody tried his? Is it whiskey that he makes? I can't remember what it is he makes.
Yeah, it's an Irish whiskey. I just can't remember what it's called.
Irish whiskey.
I haven't tried it. Yeah.
Mark, have you tried the Irish whiskey that he makes?
No, I stick with basically Jameson and Tullamore. They're proven.
Oh, yeah. Those are good. Nothing wrong with them.
No.
Yeah.
It's probably up there with Slash's vodka.
I don't know. Never had that either.
You're not missing anything.
It's good to know. All right. Well, hey, we're getting close, but does anybody want to bring up anything extra that we want to talk about, or do we want to call it quits?
I did have a question for all of you guys that were, still, recently got out, or, does the Marine Corps still, do we still have MPs standing in our gates, or is it all DOD police?
It's hit or miss from what I've seen. So they do have a lot of civilian DOD. However, it's not the MP standing the gate. Typically, that's it's like fapped out. So every unit gets a tax, and then they send them in. At least here it is. I don't know if it's like that everywhere. Usually you'll have like one or two MPs either at the gate or close by. But typically it's just, somebody that got tagged to do a duty for a couple of months.
It's kind of like the chow hall, when they contracted it out to civilians, they started having like your lead cooks or whatever. Now you got your lead MPs. I say lead MPs, but it'd be a Lance Corporal out there patrolling with another Lance Corporal or something like that every now and then on your main bases like Pendleton and Lejeune. But like Andrew said, it's everybody faps out their Marines to go stand gate guard, and that's typically who's on the gates.
Nothing against the chow hall specifically, but some of the people that they hire civilian side to work at the chow hall, I think they, if I'm not mistaken, they come from some sort of program where
folks with disabilities. Yep.
Yeah. So I just hope that the gate guards are not on that same program, but I don't think they are.
That was one of those
that's horrible.
With all due respect comments.
Yeah, with all due respect, I said that in my mind.
I had a Marine that I was forced to put on gate guard one time, and I absolutely did not want him to go, not for good reasons.
Krista, go ahead.
I can speak to that. When I worked at Goodwill on the Job Link Center, actually that was through Sodexo, and what Goodwill did is we hired people through Sodexo. We supplied them with people with disabilities, and they were certain. I can't remember the name of the program now, but we supplied them with people through Goodwill Industries. And it was at the Charleston Air Force Base, at the Naval Weapons Station up in Charleston. So Goodwill, it was through our company. We put them in Sodexo and placed them. So, and that was part of the program as far as Sodexo, they hired them. And I think it's a different company. It's not, Sodexo doesn't have that contract anymore with Parris Island and with the Naval Weapons Station and Charleston Air Force Base. It's a different company now that has the contract. I can't think of it right now, but we did supply them with
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know on Little Creek, the people that came in to clean, they get hired from they got freshly out of jail type of thing, and they're trying to.
And actually, you're right. You're absolutely right. And then what happened here at the Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort is we had people who had been there for several years, like up to 7 or 8 years. And what happened was the air station went back and then did a more in-depth background check. And people who'd worked there for up to 10 years lost their job because the Marine Corps went back and did a more in-depth background check. And so even though they had been working there with, honor and integrity for many years, they went back and they lost their job because they did a more check. And that was sad because, and then we talked about that. That was an issue of, even though they had proven their integrity, proven their worth, and had that job and worked there faithfully, with honor and integrity for many years, the Marine Corps went back and did a more in-depth background check and they lost it. It was really tough for Goodwill at that time. I can't remember.
Bring it back to politics, but you can look at politicians and how they will make a stance or whatever, and then they're like, "Oh, well, you said this a long time ago." And what's funny to me is, well, you look at that and you're like, well, can't people change over time, like change their viewpoints or anything like that? But a lot of times that people, no, you said it once. No, it is what it is.
That was always the issue with the page 11 was the page 11 would influence somebody getting promoted, right? And then they would say, well, the page 11 is the punishment. And then isn't that the punishment? But the punishment kept following them, and then it would often deter someone, or it would influence them getting promoted to a higher rank. And then Ron and I have often had that discussion about it. It would keep following them, and it would influence them getting promoted to the next rank. If it's bad paper, how long does it follow you? How long are you being punished for that infraction? Yeah, that was an issue.
Mark could probably speak to it better than I can, but I can say, if it comes down to a one-on-one competition in a promotion board or something like that, they may go all the way back and look at, okay, what page 11s did they have? I mean, if everything else is the same, I don't think that happens very often, in my humble opinion.
That person's got page 11, that person doesn't,
It all depends on, once again, who makes up, consisting of that board, who's making these decisions. Sometimes there's some pretty petty individuals that are in charge of these boards and in the positions, and they're, like I said, they're digging way back from page 11 when an 18-year-old Marine, 19-year-old Marine, and now once again, some people on the board can be extremely petty. As a first sergeant and sergeant major sitting on promotion boards, I used to get in some pretty good arguments with other board members when they're going back on petty crap like that. It shouldn't. It's a page 11 or something like that, a corrective measure. 6105, same thing. But some people, once again, they'll take it as it has to haunt them for the rest of their career, which is total BS, in my opinion.
I like your opinion. I think, Mark, I'm telling you, I think you should run for president. I'll vote for you. You'll get one vote at least. You got mine. 2 votes. You got 2 votes.
I think he's
sure
got 4. He's probably got 4 sitting here.
Yeah, you got at least 4. That's 5. Oh, you got 5. That's pretty good, Mark.
Yeah.
You get a good campaign going.
I can send in a mail-in ballot too. That's 6.
Oh, you can do a write-in. You know that, right?
You're in Pennsylvania, it could be 60.
Yeah. I'll just load them up in my truck and go drop them off.
You go walk outside tomorrow. There's gonna be somebody out there.
Mark, you'll be a shoe-in. Yeah.
We got this.
I'm all for it. And Mark, you know all kinds of people. You know, you get it. You know, you would.
They start digging in that, into the past. It might not be a good
Start
idea.
pulling them page 11s, huh?
I have a few of those and NJPs. 2 of those.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, man.
Wow.
And like I said, I was because I had those. I went up for boards where, like I said, those petty board members. Well, he got an NJP when he was, 12 years ago. It's like, yeah.
But he was a meritorious corporal sergeant, combat meritorious staff sergeant, et cetera, right? He's not ready to be a gunny.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, page 11 from that time that you were non-wrecked for twiddling your thumbs in the wrong direction. Yeah. It's important. It's important to non-wreck them. I mean, it really is important to non-wreck people. If I was making a joke, but it seriously, non-wreck people if they deserve it, if you're out there and listening.
That's why we non-wrecked Cox several times.
All right. What was that?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
No, you say it again. You say it. I can hear it.
I said that's why we non-wrecked Andrew several times. Yeah, it was
Oh,
well
yeah,
deserved.
that's a true statement. I'm not surprised at all.
Well,
He
you got the
owns it,
penalty
though.
as a
I did
sergeant, so
say-
you were, yeah.
Yeah, he owns
Go
it.
ahead, Aaron.
He'll tell you. He owns it. He deserved every bit of punishment he got.
Yeah. I absolutely, especially at the end. I deserved it for sure.
I would argue against that, but
I've got to say, this is the only counseling I've ever got my entire time in the Marine Corps where the word fuck was actually in the counseling. Like it was in quotation marks. Because I told, I shouldn't be saying this, but it is funny. I'm not going to lie, it's funny. So in the counseling, because I told the Marine, he came to me and he was telling me stuff, and I was like, well, fuck if I know, it's your job. You go figure it out, right? So I said, fuck if I know. So in the counseling, in quotation marks, was fuck if I know. And yeah, it was I probably shouldn't be talking about it, but I'm retired now, so I don't care. Yeah, Mark's like, yeah. So I had the Sergeant Major, I had to do a Zoom call because they're up at Quantico, So I did a Zoom call with Sergeant Major. And I was being told, like, hey, man, you could get relieved for this and da-da-da. And I was heated. I was like, oh, no way, man. I'm going to fight this tooth and nail. Screw this, And the Sergeant Major comes on. She's like, all right, before we even start a conversation, I need you to read this document that I want to put on the screen. And I was like, okay. And it flashed up, and it was that nip lock. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm good. It's all good right now. I got a nip lock. It's all over, whatever. But in quotation marks, fuck if I know. Nah, that's one of the harsh things that I said to a staff NCO. Yeah, good times. I blame Aaron if we're going to blame anyone.
Wow. That's it's unbelievable in my book. I can't even imagine something like that and I've only been retired 12 years.
I put it right in the same binder as my last good conduct medal. So when you open it up, I got both in there. So yeah, it was a good time. Good time. And it wasn't even about me. The whole investigation wasn't even about me. I didn't even know anybody was looking at me until I went in to get interviewed, and they were like, hey, I'm going to read you your rights. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Read me my rights. And they're like, oh, yeah, I got to read you your rights. And I'm like, it's going to be like that? And he's like, oh, yeah, it's going to be like that. This is a major. And I'm like, what the No, this is ridiculous. And so he read me my rights and went down the whole, and I went off. I mean, it was bad. I went way off, and
This
probably
this
should
was a
not have.
pack order violation, right? Is that what they try to claim it was? A pack order violation? Oh, this one wasn't. Okay.
They didn't say anything about pack violation. Nothing. They just said you can't talk to Marines that way nowadays. You gotta say things differently. It's not like when we were growing up. That's the speech that I got. And then, this is to talk. Oh man, I really should not be talking about this, but it is funny. To top it off, Sergeant Major goes, "But I did hear you're retiring, correct?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am retiring. Yes, I have a date. It's in February. I'm retiring." She's like, "Do you need to go a little early?" And I was like, No, I'm going to stay until February and I'll retire. I don't need to take anything. I already got it planned out. She's like, "You're sure you don't need to go early?" And I'm like, wow, are you kidding me? Yeah, it was a good time.
Nope. No.
Go ahead,
And
Krista.
the best part about all this is what I can learn about something that happened to us or him, is that what we learned, and we sat on a plane coming back from somewhere, I'm going to keep it all anonymous, is that what we learned was that we thought that somebody had that much power over us, and we learned that they don't have that much power over you. They can't take your retirement. They can't take a single penny from you. I mean, unless you just like murder somebody or kill somebody, or, unless there's gushing blood or broken bones, they can't do a single thing to you. And they don't have that much power over you. And that was what we learned.
True.
That's what we learned. And no, you don't have to go early. Nope. February will do just fine. Thank you.
Yeah. It worked out. I didn't get in trouble anymore. So, I learned something.
Like I said, unless there's broken bones or gushing blood or, no, thank you. No, February will do just fine. That's what we learned, is they don't have that much power over you.
Yeah. I know Aaron got to hear one or two of my gripes every now and again. Vic, I'm sure you heard it once or twice as well over my several months of being under investigation. That's
they'll read you your rights. They'll read you your rights and say you
several
can't
months for one conversation with someone.
So, well, I had several conversations with people, but somehow that one was the one that stuck. We'll say that. And it's because I was saying bad words, right? It's frowned upon. It's discouraged to use foul language. It doesn't say that it's prohibited. It just says that it's discouraged. I just didn't discourage it. I thought it was relevant at the time. Maybe not. I don't know.
They sound encouraging to me.
See?
If the senior enlisted leader is swearing, there's a problem and I might need to fix it.
Remember what you said, Aaron. It's for enthusiasts.
Yes. Yes.
Just an adjective.
It's an adjective. Thank you.
We all discussed that the very first night. Right.
Yeah, it's an adjective. You're right.
But all they told
all right.
they read it anymore. So there you go. You're good to go.
Oh, you cut out. Say it again. You gotta say it again. You cut out.
They told you after they read your rights was you just use it anymore. And that's it.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. Yeah.
That's it.
It was good times, though. It's good times.
Good time.
Nothing like an investigation to keep you going. Maybe not. I don't know. Vic knows all about investigations up there.
Yeah, once or twice. Let's see. I only got investigated once, and then, not that was when I was a gunny, not even a mass sergeant. And then I had a Marine get investigated. He was interviewed, and then like 4 months went by, nothing. And then this Marine went on to do exemplary things, carried a whole concert, basically saved the concert because he was working the soundboard. Went on to do great things. And then like we got a new CG, and she wanted to come over and give the Marine some coins. So we told this one Marine to go up and get a coin from the CG. And the Sergeant Major said, "Is that the Marine that's currently under investigation? Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "Sergeant Major, that was like 4 months ago. Nothing's happened." "Oh no, he's still under investigation." 4 months ago, there has been the radio silence from everybody, and he's still. Oh yeah, it's still sitting on my desk right now. You gotta fucking be kidding me. So my OIC had to take that coin back from that staff sergeant and go and give it back to the sergeant major.
I gotta be, if everyone could see what I'm seeing right now, it would be hilarious. The facial expressions are, especially Mark. Mark, being a sergeant major, I'm sure you have.
We used to do countless investigations on the drill field and even at Wounded Warrior Battalion, and they don't take that long. And there's no reason to drag them on, except once again some petty individual trying to have us power and control. But why wouldn't you just get it all taken care of? And
Yeah.
Get it done and get it off your plate.
Yeah, I got my ass chewed for that, and so did my OIC. Chief of staff ripped him a new one, and then like we said, my OIC had to give that coin back to the CG.
That's pathetic.
I love having you on here, Mark. You crack me up. That's good. That's pathetic.
That's the sad thing out of all of that is, I'll die having been a United States Marine. I love the Marine Corps. I experienced the bitter side of it, unfortunately, but I don't understand. I mean, that's just, in my opinion, and I hate to say this, that is the Marine Corps way. I don't know, and I don't know why it has to be that way. I just don't get it. I don't understand why we do people the way we do them when it comes to stuff like that. And I wish I was still in or I was able to retire and do more than what I did. It's going on 17 years in the Marine Corps, but sometimes it's like this complete lack of respect for Marines, and I don't know if it's intentional or if it's a power trip or if it's a psychological warfare. I've never understood it, even when I was in. And that's why I fought so hard for Marines with Rex, non-Rex, going back to the page 11 crap. Well, a year and a half ago, he missed a funeral gig or a dead gig, or we call them dead gigs, but it's like
no
this Marine is,
disrespect.
But we've done this, and he's done this. Marine has done this, or she's done this, and this since then, and we're still bringing this shit up. Marine has done everything you've asked him to do. That Marine is playing at the level that you're asking him to play at, or okay. They had a little flub up on a part here or there, but it was at the end of the day. They fixed the issue. They rectified it. Yeah, but then we've all watched those that skated by, those that have just, they were in somebody's back pocket, or, buddies with the senior enlisted or knew somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like, I
be honest, one of the things that I always tried to do, and I'm sure all of you did the same thing, but once somebody did something that was messed up, that's an incident that happened in a small part of time when you look at everything. Once you do the counseling, once you chew their ass, once you do all the things that are necessary to do, at that point, you have to tell the individual, like, hey, you got to take a step back, look at what you did, and you got to fix it and move on. Don't let it bother you. You just gotta, you gotta move on. It's not the end of the world. Keep pushing, keep doing whatever. But at some point in time, you have to trust the individual again. And that's I mean, life is like that. I mean, people go to prison and get out of prison, and at some point in time, I guess you don't have to, but we should be able to trust an individual again to a certain extent, right? We obviously, if the same things keep happening continuously, that's a different story. But if it's a one-off, it's a one-off. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
No, because one thing doesn't define you. That doesn't define your whole life or define your personality. We all make mistakes. We're human.
Just sometimes it tends to be bigger than other times sometimes, and that happens. It is what it is.
Go big or go home.
Just as the NCO creed says, and their performance will reflect an image of me. If I used to tell my Marines, said, if you have these Marines that you are constantly non-wrecking, what are you doing to train them and to improve them? It's like, now I got to start looking at your leadership. If you cannot get a Marine if you cannot train him and develop him where he can overcome an incident and be finally recommended for promotion. But then at the same time, then they give him really great pro and cons. It's like, you're non-wrecking him, but you give him really good pro and cons. That doesn't make any sense.
I watched that at the 1st Marine Division, Andrew. I used to sit in there as a gunny and watch wreck, non-wreck meetings. And going back to the saying swear words, I just went bonkers one day in Edmondson's office with Master Gunny Schweitzer and Contreras and Yaffa Jones and Douglas and all them in there. And I just went ape shit. Excuse my language, but I was like, are we really playing this stupid game right now? Literally, these are the pro con marks you gave them, but then you want to turn around and non-wreck them for this or for that. I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind? And I kept going off, and Steve Schweitzer, Master Gunny Schweitzer, I almost called him something, and I don't want to call him that because he may watch these, that his nickname in the band field. But he called me in his office and slammed the door, and he's like, he going back into the F word conversation, and he was just lighting me up. You don't ever do that again in front of the band officer and all the other staff NCOs. I'm like, well, I should be able to do this in here, that in there. There's no reason. And he goes, and your use of language sometimes is questionable. And he goes, are we clear, gunnery, sir? And I said, fucking A, Master Guns. Like that. And I turned around and walked out. And God, he was mad. And it was just, I was always jabbing at him for something like that. I'm like, you're right, F&A. Yeah, you're damn right.
As far as looking at the leadership, I still, even when I retired as a master sergeant after 24 years, still, like, just months before I retired, I had to counsel a staff sergeant do you realize that your fitness report, only 2 categories of the 13 are about your individual performance? Mm-hmm. All the rest are about your leadership skills and your developing of junior Marines. Once you make it to sergeant, it's not about you anymore. You're done. So, if you're non-wrecking these people, it's, you're pointing the finger, but you got 3 pointing back at you kind of thing,
It's amazing how many staff NCOs don't know that.
Right.
And that's probably my fault. Maybe I didn't say it enough, maybe I'm all fucked up.
No. The first time I ever had to write someone up at Goodwill, I had to write up my coworker. And I was the database I can't remember what I was called, but I was creating a database and creating a software program. And I had to write this girl up. And I realized as I was writing all the stuff down that I had to write her up for, as I started, she failed to do this, she failed to do this, she failed to do this. And then I was looking at that whole write-up sheet and I thought, oh my gosh, did I fail to teach her this? Did I fail to teach her this? Did I fail to teach her this? And Mark mentioned that a minute ago. And I thought, oh my gosh, did I teach her this? Did I remember to tell her this? And then it reflected on me. And then I thought, oh no, if I didn't teach Nikki this, then I'm the one who failed, not her. And then that was the first time I realized and I wasn't her supervisor, but I oversaw her in the Job Link Center. And I thought, oh no, I've been there 6 years. And if I haven't taught her this stuff, then I'm the one who's failed, not her. Yes, she's going to get in trouble, or not in trouble, but she's going to get written up for this. But I'm the one who failed to teach her. So it reflects on me if I didn't tell her.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. Maybe only speaking for myself, but I'm sure I'm speaking for all of you when I say this. Anytime one of your Marines fails, it's, at least for me, I always look back at what did I do? What did I fail to do, I should say. And did I put all the things in place that needed to happen in order for that Marine to be successful? Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. You know, I'm not perfect. You know, I know that Mike thinks I'm perfect, but I'm not. You know, Krista probably thinks I'm perfect. Hell, all of you probably think I'm perfect, but yeah. Wow, they're all flipping me off right now. Anyways,
Well, we're all just telling you you're number one.
all right.
That's
Does
all.
anybody want to? Oh, I'm number one.
Yeah, Krista was
Yes,
saying
that
number
makes
one,
sense.
number one.
I've seen you in your underwear. You're not perfect.
Wow.
Oh, that was low, Vic. Really? Come on, man.
God.
You got to say something like,
Well,
I can
he's the
see
one
it
who
in your
brought it up
face now,
earlier, not
Andrew.
me.
I can see Andrew now. You know, he is now emotionally upset, and
I'm gonna go cry in a corner somewhere. That could be only because I had too much moonshine tonight. But well, with that, anybody have anything you want to say before we wrap this up? We'll go round robin. Go ahead, Mark. Come on, give it to us. Come on, you got to say something before we wrap it up. You've had some good one-liners tonight. You know, hit us with another good one. He's scratching his head. He's like, I don't know. You got to hit the mute. You hit the mute.
Now I got to
There
think
you
of a one-liner. So go around and let me come
All right,
back.
all right. We'll go on and then we'll come back to you. All right, Aaron, go ahead. One-liner. He's walking now. He's gonna make us all sick. I have lost control. Vic, go ahead. One-liner. Go ahead. Lead us out.
Transgender Day of Visibility.
What? You're on mute, man. You muted it.
Transgender Day of Visibility.
Okie dokie. All right, Mike. Go ahead.
Pirates are 5-0.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, 5-0. My son's going crazy right now. He just keeps texting me. The Bucks are 5-0, Dad. I was like, yeah, I see. Just don't jinx it. Let's leave it the way it is. We're good.
Don't say anything. Let's hope you didn't just jinx it because you said something. Wow. All right, Krista, go ahead. One-liner. Hit me.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Ooh, I like it. All right. All right, I can dig that. Aaron, go ahead. What you got?
Woo pig.
Woo pigs. You got to do it the right way, though. Come on, I know you can.
No, I can't. I can't do all that. I
Don't
can't do
lie
all
to
that.
me. Come on.
No,
Suey
we
it
ain't.
up.
We ain't calling the hogs yet, but we're just
No,
going.
you
We're just
call
going to call it woo pig. I'll
I'm
do it next
disappointed.
week. I'll do it next week. Give me next
You
week.
better practice. All right.
Yeah,
I want to
'cause-
hear some good woo pig
Cause-
next week.
Because I'm like Mike there. You know, I don't want to jinx my hogs. You know.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
No, they
All
they
right,
they
I'll
swept they
accept.
swept. Yeah, they swept LSU this past weekend. So if I give them too much credit, they'll start losing.
That's a good point. No, I got
Yeah.
you. I got you. I'm tracking that, man. Yeah. All right. We're back to the man, the myth, the legend. Mark.
Well, just remember, it's never so bad that it can't get worse. You could have a communicable disease.
That was good. Wow. And on that, everybody.
And there is a
thanks for
penicillin
tuning
shortage, so
in. We've lost control. Thanks for tuning in. If you're struggling and you need help, don't forget you can always dial 988 and press option 1. That's going to put you in contact with somebody that's going to help you out. You can also text 838-255 That's also going to help you, put you in the same contact with the same individuals, be able to help you. If you don't want to do that, you'd rather chat online, you can always go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on that chat icon. You can chat away on there. And remember, all of this is anonymous. You can say whatever it is that you want to say, but every one veteran's life lost is one too many. I've had one too many drinks tonight. One veteran's life lost is one too many. I know I care about you. Everyone here on the crew cares about you. All the other veterans care about you. So please, please, please go get the help if you need it. All right. With that, hey, to everybody, my podcast crew, you guys rock. Thanks for joining me and entertaining me for tonight and saying some crazy things. With that, stay motivated, change your socks.